Every garden center sells it. Every landscaping video recommends it. And millions of gardeners have laid it down, covered it with mulch, and felt genuinely proud of the decision. Landscape fabric, the permanent weed solution that was supposed to make everything easier. It doesn't, and the worst part, it takes 2 or 3 years before the garden starts telling you that. By then, it's already much harder to fix than if you'd never used it at all. Stay with this, because by the end, you'll know exactly what to use instead, and it's probably sitting in your recycling bin right now. Before we get into why landscape fabric fails, you need to understand why it seems to work, because that's exactly what makes it such an effective trap. The first year is genuinely impressive. You lay it down, cover it with wood chips, and the garden looks clean. Tidy, professional, mostly weed-free. You think, finally, I've solved this. This was worth every penny. Then year 2 arrives, and things start to shift. Here's what's happening while you're not watching. Every season, leaves fall. Organic debris lands on the mulch. Wind carries in dust, fine particles, seeds. That material settles between the wood chips, decomposes, and slowly builds up a thin layer of organic matter right on top of the fabric. Not under it, on top of it. A perfect, fine, fertile seedbed, suspended above the plastic. And the wind doesn't know it's supposed to stop delivering weed seeds just because you put down a barrier. So now you have weeds again, except they're growing in the mulch this time, not the soil, and their roots are threading down through any gap, slit, or open edge of the fabric they can find. That's problem 1. Problem 2 is water. Landscape fabric is mostly solid plastic with a few small holes punched through it. When it rains or you run the hose, water hits the surface and runs off. Not all of it, some eventually works through the holes, but a significant amount never reaches the soil. The plants growing through slits in the fabric are quietly running dry. They look like they're managing, and they are, just not thriving. There's a difference, and most gardeners don't notice it until they compare what those plants could have been. Then there's what's happening to the soil itself. Cover any ground with plastic long enough, and the biology underneath starts to change. Beneficial insects move on. Earthworms leave. The microbial life that makes soil healthy, the organisms that break down organic matter, cycle nutrients, and build structure, slows down without proper air and gas exchange. Soil under long-term landscape fabric tends to end up compacted, gray, and lifeless. The kind of soil that makes you wonder why you bothered. And none of this is the worst part. The worst part is removal, because while all of this is happening above ground, your perennial plants are quietly getting on with life underground. Their roots are expanding season by season, and roots do not stop at plastic. They grow through it, under it, around it, and eventually into it. After 3, 4, 5 years, the fabric is physically woven into the root system of everything nearby. Pulling it out means tearing roots. Cutting it out in sections means leaving plastic fragments behind. Either way, it causes real damage to the plants you originally put it there to protect. This is why the gardeners who have lived with landscape fabric the longest are also the most emphatic about getting rid of it. Not because they enjoy being dramatic, because at some point they spent an afternoon on their knees with a pair of scissors trying to extract plastic from the root crown of a shrub they've been tending for 4 years. That experience changes your relationship with the product permanently. Here's the other thing that nobody puts on the packaging. Most landscape fabric is advertised with some version of a long-term weed-free guarantee. Read the fine print on those guarantees sometime. What they actually promise is that the fabric itself won't degrade. Not that weeds won't grow. That distinction is doing a lot of work, and the marketing knows it. Now, in the interest of being fair, there are exactly 2 situations where landscape fabric does what it promises. It's just that neither of them is a garden bed. If you've ever visited a garden nursery and walked between the plant shelves, you've probably walked on landscape fabric without thinking about it. It's laid flat, exposed, with nothing covering it, no mulch, no organic matter accumulating on top, just a clean surface that gets swept clear occasionally. In that context, it works. No weed bed forming, no roots growing into it, no water running off. It does its job. Pathways work the same way. Lay it flat. Leave it exposed, and foot traffic keeps organic matter from settling. Weeds genuinely can't get a foothold. Fine, the moment you cover it with mulch, which is exactly what every instruction on the packaging tells you to do in a garden bed, the clock starts on all the problems above. The product functions as a floor. It doesn't function as a garden solution. That gap between what it's marketed as and what it actually does is frankly considerable. So if not landscape fabric, then what? The answer might already be in your house, and unlike landscape fabric, it actually improves your garden while it works. Cardboard, laid flat on the ground, edges overlapping generously, wetted thoroughly, then covered with a layer of organic mulch. This is called sheet mulching, or lasagna mulching, if you want to make it sound more ambitious than it is. The appeal is real. It smothers weeds and grass without chemicals, without tilling, without the hours of physical labor that usually come with converting a patch of lawn into a garden bed. You're not fighting the weeds, you're just cutting off their light and letting the process do the work. And when the job is done, the cardboard disappears. It breaks down over months, gets consumed by soil organisms, and leaves behind improved soil rather than a plastic layer that the garden spends years working around. The worms that avoided your landscape fabric will move back in. The microbial life returns. The soil on the other side of this process is better than the soil you started with. That difference, temporary tool versus permanent problem, is not subtle, but cardboard is not perfect. And it's worth knowing exactly where it falls short before you start laying it down. Fresh cardboard is hydrophobic. Dry, it repels water rather than absorbing it. You've seen this on a cardboard box. Water sits on the surface for a moment before slowly soaking through. In a garden, a dry cardboard layer can redirect water sideways instead of down, which is genuinely bad news for anything growing nearby. The fix is simple but non-negotiable. Soak it thoroughly before covering with mulch, and make sure the mulch layer above it stays thick enough to keep it from drying out. Once it's consistently moist, it flips to hydrophilic. It holds moisture rather than shedding it. Keep it wet and it behaves. Let it dry out and you've created a problem you didn't have before. One layer is not enough for aggressive weeds. Thistles, couchgrass, anything that spreads by rhizome, these have survived worse than a single sheet of cardboard. They will find the thin spots, they will push through soft sections, they will locate the gaps between pieces and grow straight up through them, looking almost pleased about it. Use 2 or 3 layers minimum for anything vigorous and overlap the edges by at least a foot. The gaps are where the weeds win, and they will find every single one. Overlap aggressively, more than feels necessary. Then add a little more. There's also a termite consideration worth knowing. Cardboard in contact with damp soil creates conditions that termites genuinely enjoy: cool, moist, full of the cellulose they feed on. If you've had termite issues on your property before, weigh that risk carefully before laying cardboard near structures. In most gardens, it's fine. In some, it's a complication you don't need. One last practical note: remove the tape before laying it down. The cardboard will be gone in a matter of months. The tape will still be there, breaking apart in fragments in your mulch, long after everything else has decomposed. Soak the cardboard with a hose first. Once it's thoroughly wet, the tape peels away much more easily, still slightly tedious. Worth it. Cardboard is a solid tool, but if you want to know what actually outperforms everything else for weed suppression, no cardboard needed. The answer comes down to depth. Deep organic mulch on its own. Wood chips, arborist chips, any coarse woody material applied at 8 to 12 inches will smother almost any weed without a cardboard layer underneath. At that depth, light simply doesn't reach whatever is trying to grow below. The mulch settles and compresses over time, decomposes slowly, and feeds the soil as it goes. No plastic, no cardboard, no downsides. Just a progressively better garden bed. Arborist companies, the crews that trim trees along power lines and in neighborhoods, often give away wood chips for free or very cheaply, because getting rid of them is their problem. A quick search for local tree services or a look at platforms that connect gardeners with free chip loads can get you more mulch than you know what to do with. 8 inches sounds like a lot. It's less than you think once you spread it out, and your soil will be measurably better within a season. When you can't source that volume, the cardboard and mulch combination gets you most of the way there. 2 layers of cardboard plus 3 or 4 inches of mulch on top creates enough of a barrier for most weed situations. Use this method for converting lawn to garden bed, for reclaiming a neglected area, or for tackling a patch of persistent weeds before a new planting. Let it sit. The cardboard breaks down, the mulch settles, and what you're left with is workable soil that didn't cost you a day of digging. The one rule that matters: cardboard is a conversion tool, not a maintenance one. Around established plants you're actively growing, not smothering, straight organic mulch is always the right call. 3 to 4 inches, refreshed as it breaks down, kept clear of stems and trunks. That's the whole system. No fabric, no plastic, no product with a guarantee that doesn't quite promise what it sounds like it promises. To say it plainly, cardboard converts. Mulch maintains. Landscape fabric does neither of those things well and leaves you with a job you weren't expecting. There's something almost impressive about landscape fabric as a product. It looks credible. It's stocked in every garden center, recommended by landscapers, and used widely enough that questioning it still feels slightly controversial in some circles. And it does work for roughly a year in the right conditions before the problems start quietly stacking up. What it actually is a short-term visual fix sold as a long-term solution, and the longer it stays in the ground, the more it becomes the problem. A pile of flattened cardboard boxes and a load of wood chips is not a glamorous garden project, but it improves your soil while it works, costs next to nothing, and doesn't come back to haunt you 3 years later. Have you used landscape fabric? Still got it in the garden, pulled it all out, or never touched it in the first place? Drop it in the comments, genuinely curious where people land on this one. Hit like and subscribe, it makes a real difference to whether these videos reach people who need them. And the next video? The algorithm's already decided what you're watching after this. Based on what you just watched, it's probably a fair call. It's right there.